Okay, so have you found yourself maybe a little bit kind of curious lately?
Hmm.
I mean, with everything going on,
Hmm. It's understandable.
yeah, it's understandable. You
Yeah.
see some questions rolling in,
Hmm.
like tempted by the devil's lettuce. Is the American election getting to you?
Yeah, a lot of people are asking these questions.
Right. And so today we're going to do a deep dive
Yeah.
on an article that really caught our eye. It's called "Are You Canna Curious?"
A great article.
And yeah, we thought it would be perfect
Absolutely perfect for a deep dive.
to kind of unpack this,
Mm.
especially for those of you who are exploring cannabis, whether it's for health reasons, relaxation, or just plain curiosity.
It's for everyone. It doesn't matter what your background is or what you're interested in with cannabis.
Yeah.
This deep dive is for you.
Yeah,
If you're kind of curious, we're here for you.
absolutely.
We got you.
And one thing that really struck me, and maybe you can kind of speak to this, is how the landscape of cannabis has really shifted.
Oh, absolutely. It's changed dramatically, even in just the last few years.
Yeah.
Um, the stigma that was once so prevalent is really starting to fade away,
Yeah.
and people are much more open to talking about it, to trying it.
Right, and for a whole host of reasons, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you got people exploring it for medicinal purposes,
Right.
for pain management, for anxiety relief, for sleep issues.
Right.
And then you also have people who are just curious about it,
Yeah.
from a recreational standpoint.
Just to see, right?
Just to see what it's all about, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the landscape has definitely shifted.
And I think this article really speaks to that, right?
Yeah.
It's really aimed at helping people navigate this kind of new world,
Absolutely.
especially if they're newcomers or maybe returning after a long time.
Yeah, maybe they tried it in college and now they're a little bit older and they're like, maybe I should give it another shot.
Right.
And this article provides some really great tips for those folks.
Yeah, and one of the things that they suggest, which I thought was really interesting, was starting a cannabis journal.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great tip.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
Like why is that recommended?
Well, think about it this way, everyone's experience with cannabis is going to be different,
Right.
right? What works for one person may not work for another.
Right.
And so keeping a journal allows you to kind of track your own personal experiences, to understand your preferences, how different strains or consumption methods affect you.
Right.
And it's really about, taking control of your cannabis journey and making it as enjoyable and beneficial as possible.
So it's like personalized, like kind of tailoring it to your own needs and goals.
Exactly. It's about finding what works best for you. So, for example, you might try a sativa strain one day and you're like, wow, I feel super energized. I got a lot of creative energy.
Right.
And then another day, try an indica and you're like, oh, this is so relaxing. I feel like melting into the couch. And so by documenting those experiences, you start to understand, okay, if I need to get stuff done, maybe I'll reach for the sativa.
Right.
But if I want to unwind at the end of the day, maybe the indica is the way to go.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not just about the strains. It's about, how much you consume, the method of consumption.
Right.
If you're using edibles, you might find that 5 milligrams of THC is perfect for you.
Right.
But 10 milligrams is too much.
Yeah. That's a great point because it is so different, right?
Yeah.
Like depending on how you're ingesting it, right?
Exactly. So what other kinds of things, like specifically, would you recommend tracking in this cannabis journal?
Well, it can be as detailed or as simple as you like.
Some people like to track their mood changes.
Okay.
How are they feeling before they consume cannabis? How are they feeling after?
Right.
Energy levels.
Okay.
Any pain relief that they experience, if that's something that they're using it for.
Right.
Some people even track creative bursts.
Oh, interesting.
If they're artists or musicians and they find that cannabis kind of enhances their creativity,
Right.
they'll track that as well.
Okay. And what about like the different methods, right? Like smoking versus vaping versus edibles.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important to note how each method affects you differently.
Right.
Smoking tends to have a more immediate effect. Edibles take longer to kick in,
Right.
but the effects can last much longer.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely track the consumption method.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it sounds like it's really about becoming your own like expert on your own experience.
It's about taking ownership of your cannabis journey.
Yeah?
Yeah, and not just relying on, what you read online or what your friends tell you,
Right.
but really figuring out what works best for you individually.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because there is so much information out there, right?
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
And it can be, conflicting,
That's
right?
absolutely
So yeah, I love this idea of the journal. It's almost like, fine-tuning a recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But for your own well-being, right?
Right. It's like a personalized recipe for your cannabis experience.
Right.
And that's what's so exciting about cannabis today is that there's this real emphasis on personal discovery and finding what truly resonates with you.
Yeah, it's not one size fits all.
No, not at all.
Right.
And it's about, embracing that individuality and finding what works best for you.
So as we're kind of wrapping up here, for our listeners who are embarking on their own cannabis journey, what's kind of the one thing you would leave them with?
I would say, be curious, be open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
but also be mindful and intentional about your experience.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to experiment, but do so safely and responsibly.
Right.
And most importantly, listen to your body.
Right.
Pay attention to how cannabis makes you feel
Mm-hmm.
and adjust your approach accordingly.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
So as you're starting your own exploration, just think about what do you hope to gain from this?
Mhm.
What are you looking for? And kind of keep that question in mind.
Yeah, have that intention.
Yeah.
And see where it takes you.
Right, because it is a journey, right?
Absolutely.
It's not a destination.
It's an exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows what you might discover.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap it up here, but keep those questions coming, and we will see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us.
See ya.